This is Dean on the scene for the Rogers Review, and welcome to Farpoint 30. Can you believe Farpoint's 30 years old? And I've been attending since 1998. But here with me is a man who has many voices. I cannot go through the list. I'm going to let him talk about Mr. Billy West. How you doing, Billy?
Oh, what I know about him. Ain't I a little stinker?
Yes, you are. Absolutely. So the first question I want to ask you is, how does it feel to be here at Farpoint 30?
It feels great. I mean, I've been to Baltimore years ago, and they used to have a big red light district, but I'm too old to go there now. I got to keep my nose clean and stay out of trouble. But no, I mean, I'm enjoying these shows. All the Comic-Cons I enjoy very much because I enjoy the atmosphere and the people, and I love talking to everybody. And plus, you know, I owe it to people to go and say hi to them and talk to them because they're fans.
Absolutely, and I'm definitely a fan of your work, especially when it comes to the Nickelodeon cartoon Doug. I loved Doug. I relate to him when I was growing up. In fact, I think he and I were the same age when the show started back in.
You were a tweener?
Yes, I was a tweener, absolutely.
Well, it's 28 years later. They're different now. You know, it's like you never know how somebody's going to grow up. You think one kid's going to grow up a certain way and the other one's it's like,
Dear Journal, today I blew up a courthouse.
see him in court.
Order in the court. Judge Roger Klotz. Oh, look who it is. It's funny, you loser. 28 years later, you're going to jail. You get guilty written all over your face. It's even spelled wrong. Oh, no. Yeah, you're getting 1,000 years in jail, funny. No.
Oh, I love it. I just love it. This is going to be such a fun conversation. Since you were at the height of Nickelodeon cartoons with Doug and Ren and Stimpy, yes, two of the cartoons that started the golden age, what were some of your fondest memories on working on those two shows?
Well, when you're doing stuff like that, you have no idea that it's going to be the golden anything. You know, you're just going to work every day and trying to do a good job. And then, you know, you don't know who becomes legendary and who doesn't. You just, like I said, you just try to do a really bang-up job every time you go in. And I just, you know, kept moving forward and auditioning for things. And, you know, and cartoons, there was an explosion of them. There was... you know, there was The Simpsons, and then there was Beavis and Butthead. But it was great because in no way was Beavis and Butthead like The Simpsons, and Ren and Stimpy was in no way like Beavis and Butthead. You know, most of the time it's like somebody comes out and has a good idea, and then there's two to follow that are like identical to trying to be them. And that stinks. That's like, you know, the antithesis of art. So I was lucky that I got, you know, to be involved with things that were kind of groundbreaking.
Absolutely. Not only groundbreaking, but they're legendary people, 30 years, people who were teens like me at that age, and now we're adults, and we're reminiscing about these wonderful cartoons that stand the test of time and help define a generation.
Yes. I think it's so interesting. I mean, you never think in those terms, you know, like when you're busy and you're immersed in it. But we're back to doing Futurama, and we started that in 1999 originally. Yes. That's a long time ago. So, you know, I guess nothing amazes me anymore. I mean, I said the last 20 years went by like a lightning bolt. What about the next 20? How fast is that going to go by? Give us a call, 266-6868. Let's talk about the passage of time and the rapidity of it.
Absolutely. Now, you have voiced many voices, especially in Futurama. Your Philip J. Fry, your Zoidberg, and your Dr. Farnsworth. The latter two are among my favorites. Where did you find the inspiration for those two voices, Zoidberg and Dr. Farnsworth?
Professor Farnsworth is a combination of doddering wizards and magicians and mad scientists, you know, and he's rickety. He's 147 years old. So I made him like, you know, I said, Jesus, he's so old, he's like probably like a mummy that, you know, farts dust. And I don't want to live on this planet anymore. And that was kind of, he was rickety, you know. And Zoidberg was a combination of two people in show business. One was a guy named Lou Jacoby, who was in the Arthur movie. He leaned in and went, "What's it like to have all that money?" And then there's a guy named George Jessel, who was in vaudeville, and he would say things like, "You know the definition of a smart ass? A fella that can sit on an ice cream cone and tell you what flavor it is." And then if you took a combination of those two voices and super collided them or cold fused them or whatever you want to call it, you have new characters.
You do.
Because you're mixing and matching, and the attitude of one and the voice of another, and it's interesting what you can come up with. And so that was the impetus, basically, for those characters.
Absolutely. Well, as you mentioned moments ago, Futurama is coming back again. It's like the never-ending classic. Why do you feel Futurama is timeless to people almost 35 years later, 25 years later?
Because of the writing. The writing and the development of those characters is so integral, and the writers, people say, "I don't know if I want to watch the new one. It ended so brilliantly. I don't know how you can top that." And it's like, no, you don't know the writers like I do. And they are clever, clever people. And you won't be disappointed. That's what I can say.
Absolutely. Why do you like attending conventions as a guest? What excites you about them?
Well, because it might be cool to be a nerd now, but it wasn't 67 years ago. And, I grew up in the 50s, and I had comic books, and you were considered an oddball if you had some comic books. So me and one other kid within a mile would trade them and read them on the front porch in the summer, and everybody was like, "You're just wasting your mind," It's like, what good are all these things? And I had all the issues that are probably worth thousands of dollars now. I had the original issues, but I think if I was a kid now, I would want to just run away and join the circus. I would want to be at a convention all the time. If they had them when I was a kid, I would have just ran away from home.
Well, if you want to join the circus, what would you do in the circus?
I guess I am in the circus. I am. I kind of went and joined the circus called show business.
Yes, you have. Absolutely. And I admire you for one thing because you are a guitar player. Unfortunately, I ended up with the trumpet, me personally.
I started with trumpet.
Really?
Yeah, when I was 10.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. But the guitar is one of my favorite instruments. The guitar is one of my favorite instruments, and you had a track on Futurama called Proposition Infinity. How did you manage to get the track on Futurama?
It was part of my deal. I said, I want to write a piece of music. And they said, "Sure." And then we waited, and then it was like the opportunity came up for me to do a piece of music. I had no idea what it would be. And it was, the group was called Wailing Fungus. And the song was called Shut Up and Love Me. And that's all I was like playing and singing, "Shut up and love me."
I love it. I love it. So is there a celebrity that you have seen over the years that you've always wanted to meet or have met? And how was the interaction?
I've met a lot of my heroes, believe it or not. Very, very lucky. I met Les Paul, the guitar player. Jeff Beck, I met him. He was one of my idols. I've played music with Brian Wilson. I played like 6 gigs with Brian, who wrote the soundtrack to my teens. The guy that wrote God Only Knows and Good Vibrations. Yes. And he's sitting right next to me, and I'm playing music with him. I'm going, what the hell? So I've been very, very lucky, and I've met a lot of people that were heroes of mine, and they were all innovators, and they were somebody that they were all people you could learn so much from, about their attitude and their abilities and what they decided to do with it, and became earth shakers,
Absolutely, they have. I can't believe you met Brian Wilson. I met Mike Love and Al Jardine.
I've met Al and I've met Mike, but I got to play with Brian in his band, and he wrote about me in his book. And I was like, Jesus, it's like it's almost like that Talking Heads thing. And you make fun of yourself? sitting on stage with Brian Wilson. And it's like, my God, how did this happen?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So where do you see voiceover acting in the 2020s? Since we're now in 2023, it's still prevalent with cartoons, streaming media. Where do you see it going?
I see it proliferating even more than it already is. On YouTube, there are people, there's impressionists that are incredible, that can do a bunch of things and have incredible ranges, and I just wish them luck. I just say to myself, well, it looks like the business is in good hands, but I also want to see people create original characters and not just do impressions. Because, it dawned on me, it's like I love doing impressions, but you'll wind up as a footnote in voice history. If you haven't created something original, and so people could remember you for that instead of, he does a good Tony Soprano, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. If you had to create an original voice, what would that voice sound like?
Nothing like Tony Soprano.
This is the last Sunday dinner I ever have at this house.
I can definitely agree with you. Well, I am a budding voiceover artist. I've done some audio series. What words of wisdom would you give me or anyone who's listening or watching to become a successful voiceover artist?
Well, first of all, I always want to say we're saving a seat for you, if that means anything, because that's what some of my heroes said to me when I was a little nipper in New York City. They said, you're pretty good, where you been? And I said, I can't believe I'm here with you guys. And he says, well, we were saving a seat for you, and I never got over that. And but you got to have passion and you have to have inspiration, and those things have to be engaged all the time so that you never want to put it down. You want to keep pushing the envelope further. You want to be a better actor. You want to be a better interpreter. You know what I mean? You want to keep the bar off the ground. If it was up to celebrities doing cartoon voices, the bar would be flat on the ground. And people like me and Carlos and Robbie Paulson and that, we're always trying to keep the bar off the damn ground. And then a celebrity comes in and throws it back on the floor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you 100% because when I met Rob and talked to Carlos and talked to Maurice about you being the legends, the originals, and setting that bar high, I appreciate that a whole lot more.
It means the world to me, and I know it means the world to them. And they're humble guys. They're not like raving egomaniacs for the talent that they have. They're all beautiful guys, gentlemen. The women that I know, that Tress MacNeille and Katie Segal and Lauren Tom, they're brilliant, and their voices are so beautiful. And I consider myself really lucky that I'm in that environment.
Absolutely. So where can people find you if they want to get some advice, follow your career, see what's the next voice outcome out of you?
I'm on Twitter at @TheBillyWest, and Facebook. I have a Facebook page. I don't visit it too often, but every now and then people will ask questions, and I'll surprise respond, if I have time. You try to stay out of trouble. The more you say on Twitter, the more people want to attack you. And it's like, hey, I have a point of view. It's not an invitation to a damn cage match, Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, somebody always wants to have it out with you.
Absolutely. Billy, it's been an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And don't forget, guys, if you want to check this out online, check us out at The Rogers Revue. Revue spelled R-E-V-U-E. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm going to have a little talk with Roger Klotz about something that happened in my childhood. So we'll see you next time. Bye, my friends.